Welcome to Talk with TAS. I'm Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. TAS. Today, I am joined by Pastor Herb Wallace. He's a husband, he's a father, he's an Army veteran, and an author who's here to share powerful insights on faith, purpose, and chasing your dreams. Herb, welcome to Talk with TAS.
Hey, Dr. Toss. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You know, Pastor Herb, your work, whether as a pastor, as an author, is rooted in faith. How did you discover your why, and how has it sort of fueled your journey?
Oh, great question. Let me say this first. I got to say hello to my queen, Priscilla Ann Wallace. Thank you for being here to helping me. Thank you for my princess, Shayla, my other children, Nehemiah, Marquise, Shakir. Just want to give them a shout out. How did I discover my why, man? That's a good story. So I was in Vilseck, Germany, stationed in the Army, and I kept walking around asking people, what's the purpose of life? Why are we here? Why do we get up every morning, go to work, and for me at that time, get off, go get drunk, go home, get back into bed, get up, and start the same cycle all over again? What's the purpose of life? What is a man? I was aggravating people walking around asking, what's a man? What am I supposed to be doing as a man? What is all this about? And while I was there was this gentleman. He asked me this question. He said, have you come to a point in your life where if you were to die today, you would go to heaven? I had no answer to it. Now, mind you, this guy's about 6'3", 225, all chills with muscle. We're in this little small Volkswagen Bug. At that time, I was probably 155 pounds, soaking wet. So the question was somewhat intimidating to me. He asked me that question. I didn't have an answer. Well, later on, he invited me to a revival. And there's this minister from the States who came over. He's preaching, and I'm standing there. And I'm not a crier. But on that night, tears just kept flowing down my eyes, flowing down my face. I'm just crying like a big old baby. They led me to Christ on that night. And that's when my why started becoming more apparent to who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing. That was the beginning of my journey to understanding why I have been created, what's special and unique about me, my journey to understanding who God is, and that there was a creator in this world who created me, and not only created me, but he saved me for a specific purpose. So yeah, that's the start of my journey.
Well, now, you've given us the backstory and how you discovered your why. So now, how does that keep propelling you today? Now that you've gotten that, because you had an idea then, but how did that idea, that connection to God and becoming saved, how did that continue to fuel your journey?
Because I learned that God is my creator. And if he created me, he must have a specific reason why he created me. So then as I developed a relationship with him, I started more understanding of who I was and what I was created for. And then I began to start talking about God created me for a specific purpose, to empower his people to be all that the Lord has created them to be. Now, as I get up in the morning, that's my focus. How can I empower somebody else? How can I encourage somebody else? What can I do today to point somebody else to the creator? What can I do today to show somebody else how to have a relationship with him? That's my purpose. That's why I'm here. Now, it doesn't matter what else I go through. Life can throw me a bunch of different curveballs. I've had all kinds of ups and downs, just like everybody else in life. But what I've learned, and what we talk about in the book as well, if you go through some stuff, if you know your why, and you know who he is and the one who created you for a specific purpose, you can deal with it. I mean, think about the disciples. Just think about them. They were distraught. I mean, Jesus had been with them 3.5 years, showed them everything, walked with them, taught them, encouraged them. Then all of a sudden they see him hanging from a cross.
Mm-hmm.
They are disturbed, distraught. They flee. They get up out of there. They don't know what to do. But then when you turn to the book of Acts, these same disciples are giving their life to proclaim the good news of Jesus to Christ. Why? They discovered their why. They discovered that they were the vessels that God was going to utilize to share the gospel with the entire world. Now, it didn't matter what happened to them. They understood who they were and who they served. And I think that as we as people understand who we are in Christ Jesus and who we serve, we can deal with anything that comes our way in life.
Absolutely. Pastor Herb, for those who are struggling to identify their why or their true purpose, what steps would you recommend they take to put them on the path to understanding what it is?
First, I would just say, I would start off with prayer. Because God is the creator, and he created you for a specific purpose. So start by asking the one who created you, why did you create me? And for what reason? What is it that you want me to do in this world? And then, like Andy Stanley teaches, I would encourage you to get busy doing something. What encourages you? I like to ask people this question. If money was not a problem, and you can do anything in the world that you wanted to do, what would it be? And somewhere within that is most likely your why. It's most likely the thing that you want to do, whether that be something with your hands, something with your mind, whether that be mechanics, whether that be something in the arts, whatever it is. If money was not an issue and you could do anything in the world that you wanted to do, that's where your why is. That's where your purpose is. And then get busy doing it. Sometimes we look at it from a grand standpoint that I have to be a best-selling author in order to be a real author. No, just get started writing something. And as you begin to write something, you begin to evolve and you figure out things as you go.
The why is not for us, is how I've been taught. It's for other people. And you basically said the same thing, because you said, you know, we start with prayer, asking God who created us, what is it that he wants for us? What is it that he wants you to do? What's our reason for being here? Then you talked about, then, you know, if money was, you asked folks a question, if money was not an issue, what would you do?
Yeah.
And then it's like in that you will see, because I certainly see it, because I've always done it, you know, and I do it and I'm doing it now. What is it that I do that I've always done that I love to do? And if money was no issue, I would still do it. And for me, it's encouraging other people and sharing those people who may have overcome something, sharing their stories, their messages, their business, whatever you want to call it, with the world. Because I've always encouraged individuals. I've always heard people's stories since I was in middle school. And people would come and tell me the most private things, my peers, as well as older people. You go in the grocery store and people just tell me the most stuff. And it's always been like that. So I know that that's my why, you know, and as you said, whatever it is, get about doing it, because the more you do it, the more he downloads what you're really supposed to do. Because even what I just said, that's huge. But it will get me niched down to where I'm really supposed to be. And then that's when my purpose is truly activated, for whom he commissioned me to be born from my two parents. Because, you know, you have to come through certain people, because DNA makes a big difference. Environment makes a difference. Then the purpose that's there, my real niche down why becomes evident, because now it's almost like I've activated that faith. And and is that the part that sometimes trips us up, Pastor Herb, that we don't get busy? Or is it that we get busy doing the wrong thing?
I'm going to say both, because we're procrastinating. And we'll come up with all these different reasons why we cannot do certain things. I'll raise my hand. I can be a chief procrastinator.
Mm-hmm.
I got an excuse. We become afraid of failure. We
Yep.
look at what other people are doing and say, I can never do what they're doing. I don't have the resources. We talk about it in the book here. I was complaining about I didn't have time. I don't have time to
Mm-hmm.
write a book. I don't have time to do it. I got all these other things and responsibilities. And then it became the point to where, if I may grab my stick here,
Mm-hmm.
the story of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
God, my wife was telling me, use what's in your hand.
Yes.
And what was in my hand was a sermon that I wrote every week.
Mm-hmm.
Why not turn that into a book? And that's exactly what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to something you said. Our purpose and walking in that purpose and living in that particular purpose. Listen, your purpose will evolve. I've been a teacher all my life. I didn't know I was a teacher, but I just wanted to teach people my entire life. Now, if you had to ask me at 15, 20, 25, 30, if I was going to be a pastor, I'd have told you out your mind. I wasn't thinking about church in those early years. I mean, I didn't even think about God. I was walking and proclaiming that he did not exist. But I had a gift on the inside of me to teach, and it's always been there. And as I started using that gift in the Army first, then once I got out and got saved, I started using that gift. Then it became clearer. God wants me to use this gift to teach people, to pastor. God wants me to use this gift to write books, which is just getting back to teaching. It's just teaching in a written form.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say get busy doing something that's on the inside of you that comes natural, and it may evolve to something else. Just get busy.
Now, we talk a little bit about um, the importance of relationships because
Mm-hmm.
we know that writing and trying to get published, it can be a lonely road to walk. But talk about, who are some of the key people that help you bring your book to life? And you've already mentioned it, but I want you to go on a little deeper for that. And how their support shaped the process. And let me just say hello to Batman 757. But yeah, talk about the importance of relationships and how that helped to sort of shift things for you, Pastor Herb.
Yeah, we mentioned my queen earlier, who encouraged me to use what I
Mm-hmm.
have. Um, but not only her, my mom, I wouldn't be here. She Joan, I think you mentioned her name earlier, Joan McDonald. She's there. Um, been praying for me when I was out there in the world doing stuff I had no business doing. She was constantly praying for me. When it comes to the publishing, Dr. Lisa, I think she calls herself Dr. Real Lisa Santiago McNeil here on Instagram. She was instrumental in just me able to bounce ideas off of her and just talk to her and ask her questions about this publishing business and what's going on. Um, so you can't do anything, in my estimation, of significance without relationships. We are relational creatures. God didn't create us to live in some silo, but we are to live in concert with others. And there may be somebody who has something that we don't have, some wisdom that we don't have, some insight, a contact that we need.
Mm-hmm.
I had an editor. She's been fantastic, Sharon, who continues to edit my stuff for me. So there's always somebody who's going to help you get to where you're trying to go. If you're going to do anything significant in this world, you need relationships. So yes.
And, to go back, you talked about relationships when you were talking about the disciples, because they had a relationship with Christ because they walked with him for those years. So it was that relationship that was able to sustain them once they saw him on the cross. And then they went out to do the work that they were supposed to do. So that's another example of the importance of relationship. And I'm going to pare it down. We're talking about publishing, but to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that's also the importance of relationships as you are walking in your why.
Of course, yes. When it comes to the publishing industry, either self-publishing or if you've been publishing with one of the big companies, it's all about relationships. How do I understand how to get this to market? How do I actually do the marketing? How do I get the videos created? How do I get the pictures made? How do I get my book cover done? Um, all of these are based on relationships as we begin to learn one another and talk to one another and share. When you talk about those disciples, yes, they had a relationship with Jesus, but they needed that relationship with one another to go out and do the things that they have been created to do. The great apostle Paul, great as he was, he knew he couldn't be in multiple places at one time. So he grabbed Timothy. Come on here, Timothy. Let me get you. Come on, Barnabas. Let's get together. Let's go. We're going to change the world. But it was all about those relationships. And Christ was the same way. He understood. He told his disciples before he left, he was going to use them. It was not just going to be about him, but he's telling them, you're going to do greater things than I. Hold up. You out here walking on water. How are we going to do greater things than you?
Yeah.
But he's trying to get them to see is, I can only be in one spot at one time. But I'm going to empower you to go throughout the known world and share the good news. And you are going to create this church that's going to change the world as we know it. So yes, relationships. Powerful.
It is. And, no man or woman is an island.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
I'm going to stay in line with where I'm supposed to be at. So, so what advice would you give to aspiring authors or dreamers about building a strong support system and then leveraging that for success?
Build as many relationships as you can. Get out, connect with people. Find people who are experts in the industry, people who have already gone before you and did the things that you're wanting to do, and build those relationships. My queen is big, and she's always challenging me to get more mentors. Why? Because the mentor is somebody who's already been there, and they don't necessarily want anything from you. They just want an opportunity, as my mentor says, Mr. John, Dr. John, not Dr. John, but Apostle John Lofton. He's always saying, I want to leave a legacy. And I'm somebody who he's trying to leave a legacy in so that I can impact people, that I can be able to walk around here saying some of the things that he's already been through. Build those relationships. Connect with people, and this may sound cheesy, such as Dr. TAS and some other people who are doing things in the industry. I wish I had known about this platform before I started writing, because it would have saved me some time as I was writing, because I would have understood a little bit more about the programs and what's going on and what is out there. But yes, the significance of those relationships, they help us understand where we are, where we need to go. And as we're communicating, we're connecting with other people, we're able to share things and share our advice, and they can share things with us. So yes.
Well, when you talked about someone who's gone before you, I don't think that's what you said, but you said it that way. But of course, you may have said forerunner, because I immediately thought about John the Baptist.
Oh yes.
Because he came before Christ, and I believe, and I've heard people say that every answer you need is in the Bible, but it's a matter of how you view the Bible. For me, because again, that's another example of a mentor, someone who has gone through, who's walked those steps. And then I always get my names interchanged. I get them wrong when I'm talking Elijah. But
Yes.
again, that was that mentor. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that I would say there, and I want you to just come in a little bit about this, you have to be careful, though, who you let mentor you, because you
Oh yes.
can get the wrong person mentoring you.
By all means, all relationships are not good relationships. So when it comes to the mentor, once again, you're looking for somebody who's been there and they've done that, and somebody who's looking to sow into you, not necessarily receive something from you, but they want to sow into you. They want to find a way to empower you and to encourage you. John Maxwell wrote the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Before he became John Maxwell, the world's leadership guru,
Mm-hmm.
he was traveling around from city to city, meeting with these various different pastoral leaders at that time, people who had been there and done that and gone ahead of him. And the reason he said he and his wife would plan their vacations around going to meet these mentors.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they had something he needed.
Mm-hmm.
So he would go to them to get what he needs so that he could become the person that he was created to be.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, and it's the same thing with us. We have to say, okay, I need to find those good mentors and find that person who's already been there, done that, who's willing to. And if your mentor is not willing to take the time to schedule time with you, whether that be once a week, once a month, once a quarter, if your mentor is not constantly sending you information that's helping you get to where you're trying to go, challenging you. Listen, I got some mentees. I'm challenging them. If I'm not telling them what they're doing wrong, I'm not being a good mentor to them. And it's the same way. Jesus was real with his disciples.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Peter, get thee behind me. Satan, get thee behind me when he's talking to Peter.
Mm-hmm.
He chastised Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because he's trying to get Peter to a state. Peter, will you feed my sheep?
Mm-hmm.
He's restoring Peter. He told Peter, look at here, you're going to mess up, Peter. You're going to deny me 3 times. You talk about all this love you have for me, but you're going to deny me 3 times. Jesus being Peter's teacher, his mentor, his rabbi, he's challenging Peter. He sees what's going to happen, but he's also there after Peter fails to pick him up and to restore him.
Mm-hmm.
That's critical.
And I want folks to understand, you got to scrutinize these people that you think are going to be your mentor.
Yes. Apostle John Lofton, he'll get me. It took me a minute to open up and allow him to truly be my mentor, because I can be somewhat, I don't want to say standoffish, but I want to make sure I understand who you are.
Yes.
I want to make sure I understand what's your motive, what's in this for you. So it took me a minute to open up and just really allow him to mentor me and to teach me and to begin to show me things. Because I was reluctant. I thought, hold on. My dad told me, you can really tell what a person is about if you've been in a relationship with them for a year. Look, he was in that time. He was talking to me about girls. Just hang around with her for about a year. She can take it for about a year. After about a year, you start to see her true colors. And it's the same way when you're shopping a mentor. Spend some time with them, one-on-one time. And listen, treat your mentor right. Don't go out to lunch with your mentor and make them pay. No, you're taking their time.
Yep.
So go out with them, have your questions ready, 3, 4, 5 questions that you want to ask that mentor, pay for the lunch. You might have to make the adjustment to your schedule to be with them, but then at the same time, as you're sitting with them, listen and allow them to talk and just record what they're saying and just receive it. And you'll see that relationship will develop, and that mentor they'll fight for the opportunity just to share with you what they've learned over the years.
Just as you choose your mentor, you must ensure that they choose you as their mentee.
Yes.
Some mentors are only for a season. That's and good. We unfortunately want to take them throughout our life. But we need different mentors at different phases of our life. And then you weigh in, Pastor Herb, we need different mentors for different components of our life too.
Excellent. Yes, that's my queen talking. Go, queen. Yes. We were talking about something similar to this earlier today. We're going to preach this on Sunday. Is that sometimes we stay in relationships too long.
Preach.
Whether that's a dating relationship or a mentor-mentee relationship, a relationship with a job, a relationship with a ministry. Sometimes we find ourselves in Egyptian bondage because we stayed too long. God meant for us to be in Canaan, But we find ourselves enjoying Egypt. And because we enjoyed Egypt so much, we don't want to leave Egypt and go back to the promised land that he has for us. Yeah, the promised land went through a famine, but that's the promised land God has for you. So sometimes we find ourselves in these jacked up relationships, whether it's a mentor mentee, or boyfriend, girlfriend. We find ourselves married to the wrong person because we stayed in the dating relationship too long, and something happened, and now you know where I'm going. Listen, yes, there's
Yeah.
different seasons for different mentors and different mentees. We just have to make sure we don't stay in some relationships too long.
Now, I want to ask this, Pastor Herb, Herb, excuse me. Your devotion focuses on courage, faith, and unity.
Yes.
These are essential for achieving your dream. How would you advise someone who's chasing their dream? How would you advise them to use those three things to help strengthen their journey?
Um, so as you're walking your journey and you're doing the things that God has created you to do, and he has, like I said, he has a Canaan out there for you. You're walking towards that particular Canaan, and you finding yourself at times hitting some pitfalls that you don't want to hit. Finding yourself in some valleys, or finding yourself trying to go up this steep hill and it's wearing you out. It's going to take courage. It takes courage to go places that other people are not willing to go. It takes courage for you to go to places that you can't see. Think about the great apostle Paul. He needed courage to go from city to city to city proclaiming the good news of Jesus Christ. That brother got to some cities and they were stoning him, beating him, arresting him. It would have been very easy for him just to go back and just chill in Damascus. But he says that he has a mission to do for God. He has a gospel to proclaim. So it did not matter what happened. He had a bulldog mentality. He had courage to move forward. And that courage was rooted in his faith. Faith in who God is. Faith in what God had called him to do. We talk about it in the book. We have to learn to have faith in God's faithfulness. That God is faithful unto us. So it is imperative that we put our faith in the fact that God will never leave us nor forsake us. He's not going to turn his back on us. If he called us to something, it doesn't matter what storm we find ourselves in. He saw the storm before the storm took place.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to remember to walk in it. Have enough faith in God and what God wants to do in us, and have enough, let me say this, have enough faith in ourselves. If God sees something great in you, there's something great in you. So many of us find ourselves stuck on the side of the road because we don't have enough faith in ourselves to allow God to use us to do the great things. He's saying, I'm here. I want to do great things with you. I want to use you. But our lack of courage and our lack of faith is preventing us from doing it. And that leads us to the unity thing. You think about unity, walking together, not allowing issues to cause a problem. We talked about being in relationship with one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's the unity.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to have somebody who's going to encourage you, somebody who's going to tell you the truth, somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's going to sow into you, share things with you, right? It all comes together. My queen and I think I wrote it in the book. We chase so many things together.
Mm-hmm.
We've done real estate together. We've done business together. We've done a couples ministry together. Now we're pastoring a church together. It's all about the unity. Do we get on each other's nerves sometimes? By all means, we do. And I'd be like, this woman here crazy, but I wouldn't trade her for the world.
Mm-mm.
We are united as one. What God has brought together with us, no man shall put us under.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to walk together as she chases her dreams with her consulting business, as I chase my dream with this pastoring. We do it together in the unity of God. We have to have enough faith in it and enough courage to be able to do it all together. And
Pastor Herb, you know, I just don't know where the time has gone. It goes so quickly when you're serving the
yes,
Lord. So
ma'am.
tell folks how they can stay connected with you and where they can get your book.
All right, so the book is on Amazon. The Witnesses Who Became Witnesses. Jump out there and get it. You can also find me here on this lovely platform, Instagram, as Herb Wallace Jr. You can find me on Facebook as either Herb Wallace, or you can find us as me and my wife as Herb Priscilla Wallace. You can find me on Substack. If you like to read, and you love just to read long form stuff, find me on Substack. It's a platform similar to Facebook, but it's just for people who like to write. So you can find me there as an empowering word. And look, you can find me at this lovely church called Exalt Community Church. If you're in the greater Charlotte area, come on, hang out with us. If you're looking for some God chasers who are doing life together while impacting the community for Him, we've got a spot for you. Come check us out, 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings. We'd love to have you.
Well, Pastor Herb, thank you so much for joining me. And if anyone is listening or with us today, or will catch this on the replay, if you're looking for an opportunity to share your message to a global audience, I have folks who follow me external to the United States, all around the world. So please consider reaching out. I am Dr. Taz, and I would be happy to have you on my platform, sharing your message and your stories with my audience. Also, if you're in need of someone to help you with your content creation, reach out to me. I help folks in that way also. And then, of course, I'm a strategist and a consultant. So please reach out to me. You can always contact me through my IG, LinkedIn bio, and I am Dr. Teresa Smith on IG. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you again, Pastor Herb Wallace, for being with me. As he said, you can follow him on all those platforms, IG, Substack, Facebook. Also, his book is available on Amazon. And I will, when I post the link to my YouTube channel, I will put a link there for his book. So again, thank you, everyone. And thank you, Pastor Herb. And remember that Dr. Taz has told you, you are successful, and don't worry about what anybody else says or what anybody else thinks, because God is the architect and the finisher of your life, and you're successful. So thank you again, Herb, and thank you everyone for joining us. And before you go taking care of someone else, please make sure you take care of yourself first. Bye now.